Go.
You know, I usually ask myself, and a lot of people probably ask this, is if I was to introduce someone to a Star Wars movie, where would we start at? Should we start at the original trilogy, or should we start them with the prequels? Like what? I don't know. Me personally, I start them with Episode 3, because, like, fuck 1 and 2. Start them with Episode 3 if you want to have, like a marathon or something like that with it. Like, let's see what you think about Episode 3, because I think it's pretty awesome. If you want to go on, you can see the other ones. But mainly, I think the original trilogy overall would be the best to start someone off with. But I think that a lot of people kind of view New Hope as being kind of boring. But my view on Star Wars and New Hope is if you get drunk and you watch that movie, it's like the best experience of your life. Like, dude, I had like a smile on my face being drunk watching Star Wars and New Hope. That was freaking awesome. But I think I want to talk about my final thoughts on all the Star Wars movies. And I think the one I'll probably start off with is Episode 1, and then work my way up all the way to Last Jedi. Rise of Skywalker hasn't released during the making of this video, but I'll probably have a separate YouTube video talking about that one and what my thoughts are and everything. So this is like my final thoughts. I know a lot of people have a lot of Star Wars videos, and I said, screw it, I want to make one of my own. Like it for what it is. These are my thoughts and, I don't know, experiences with the Star Wars movies. Um, just a little fun fact though, Return of the Jedi was the very first like movie I remember seeing, and I don't know for sure, but that might be my first memory I ever have was at the theater watching Return of the Jedi. I don't know, but it might be. It's kind of weird. But anyway, starting with Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. I remember when the Star Wars prequels were coming out, it was like a really huge thing. And they released like these titles that were going to be for the three of them. And the first one was going to be called Balance of the Force. And the second one was supposed to be called Rise of the Empire. And then the third one, I think it was Fall of the Jedi. I think it was supposed to be the third one. I think it was called Fall of the Jedi. So that was like the titles for it. I thought, okay, that's pretty sweet. I'm not sure about Balance of the Force, but whatever. It sounds pretty decent. So, and then when they had the cast announced for it too, I thought the idea of Liam Neeson as a Jedi, just that in itself is awesome because Liam Neeson is awesome in anything. So, and there's no way that he could disappoint me in Star Wars Episode 1. You know what? He's still freaking awesome in Star Wars Episode 1. The only thing about that character is just the way that he's written because the character does kind of come off kind of bland. And the only thing really saving it is the fact that it's Liam Neeson playing it because if it was anyone else, but oh my god, this character's bland. So I guess you could kind of say that Liam Neeson is kind of like the Captain Jack Sparrow of Star Wars Episode 1. Because it's Liam Neeson, it makes the role better, but god, can you imagine someone else playing it? It would be pretty boring because he was written to be sort of a boring ass character, really, to be honest. So, but yeah, I was really like one thing that's nostalgic about Episode 1, and I don't really hate on that. But I'm not one of those people that really hate on Star Wars Episode 1. It's one of those films where I think it's it's kind of entertaining, but the middle of it is just so dull that it's not as dull as Episode 2, which is the worst one for me. But Episode 1 is not quite as bad, but it's still pretty low on the list. The only reason why is every time I watch it, I just feel this movie's unnecessary. I just don't feel like it's really necessary really to go back that far into Anakin's life. I was always under the impression that these prequels were going to be all about the Jedi and not really focused on Anakin. It would be like I actually thought it would be more of like the rise of the rebellion, that type of deal. They did have that as a subplot in Episode 3, but George, for some reason, decided he wanted to focus all on Anakin's life, where he came from, and all that stuff. So, whatever. But I just felt like that one you could skip it and not really miss much. The same for Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. I always thought that title was just absolutely horrible. And I heard that Ian McGregor had like a some media person came up to him and asked him the title. He didn't even know what the title was, so he just found out. It's like, oh my god, that's terrible. And it is. It really is a terrible. But it was my worst Star Wars movie for a while. Like, I didn't think the movie was so bad that like it doesn't exist or anything. I just felt like it was really dull and boring, and it just felt like a mess to me. Like, I just didn't really feel like the story really got anywhere. It just like I'm not sure why this one exists either. So I guess my thing is they should have started out with episode 3. To me that movie was freaking awesome. Was I don't know. It just had, it was a lot more fun than I felt than the first two. Um, with episode 1, the Darth Maul fight is still pretty sweet. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't care what anyone says. Well, it should be about emotion and all that stuff, but no, that fight is actually pretty sweet, and I really think that Ray Park as Darth Maul is pretty awesome. Unfortunately, Disney was must be really upset that they killed off Darth Maul because for some reason, for someone who gets cut in half, falls down a shaft with absolutely nothing to grab onto, can live because he's Darth Maul. I thought it'd make even more sense maybe if it was part of like his clan or something, like he's a race of beings that look like that, and you could still have another Darth Maul type character. I just didn't feel like why they have to let this character die. It's actually a pretty cool death. Let him die. Anything that Disney gives him is going to be freaking stupid anyway. But anyway, Darth Maul the fight was pretty sweet, but episode 3, I don't know. To me, that one was like the best one. The prequels, the first two. But overall, I think the prequels were actually pretty good. Episode 1, yeah, it kind of reminded me of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers at times, especially with what the hell are those dudes' names? I don't know, the ones that talk like they're Chinese or something. Oh, the Trade Federation, those people. Yeah, those people remind me of something out of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. And I don't know, episode 1 did come off seem kind of kiddie. I gotta talk about Jar Jar Binks really quick, because Jar Jar Binks didn't really bother me that bad. Jar Jar Binks is kind of like Roger Rabbit in the Star Wars prequels. And that's probably the only thing that really bothered me about his character. Other than that, you know what? It's could be even worse things, and I'll accept him into Star Wars. But apparently, no one else did. They thought he was a joke of a character. Now he's starting to get the cult status. People want to see Jar Jar back for this new trilogy. Whether or not Disney brings him back for Rise of Skywalker, who knows? Probably not, because they want to distance themselves from the prequels as much as possible, I guess. But we'll get to the new trilogy in a minute. But overall, I think the prequels were actually pretty good, except Episode 2, which I think Anakin and Padme are boring, and the movie is a freaking mess. And like, I like Christopher Lee as Count Dooku, but he's Christopher Lee. I mean, come on, dude, it's fucking Christopher Lee. So he makes anything awesome. Just the guy's voice alone is just my god. So, but I just felt like his character just wasn't utilized properly on that one because he was only shown at the end, and then they try to fool you to thinking was he a good guy or something until that one like torture scene with Obi-Wan or whatever. But yeah, and then all of a sudden they have like that big weird galactic arena battle at the end. I guess that's pretty cool because you see a bunch of Jedi fight. I mean, I guess that makes it kind of cool, but in the end, it doesn't really make much sense to me. Like, okay, so a couple of Jedi over there, and the whole team comes, and I must be missing something. I guess because they knew where Count Dooku is, he's dangerous. Okay, whatever. So they brought them all there. But then why did Yoda bring back the clone troopers? Like, didn't they want to like destroy them or something earlier? Like, weren't they a little suspicious of them? Then all of a sudden Yoda comes with the clone troopers. Like, well, I gotta use them now because everyone's in trouble. So we go bring the clone troopers. I don't know. I just thought that was kind of weird. But at least episode 2 does build up to something really cool, which was episode 3. Because before episode 3, all we knew was that Darth Vader was going to be back, and the legendary Obi-Wan battle with Anakin was going to be in it. But it had so much more, too. Like, the General Grievous character was pretty cool. The whole stuff in the beginning I thought was pretty sweet. And the character itself for General Grievous, my dad thought he was pretty awesome. So, hey, that's cool. At least my dad thought something was awesome in Star Wars. And his scenes with Obi-Wan was pretty cool too. Um, I don't know. Like I don't really have much to complain about other than the fact that it has Anakin and Padme scene again, but at least it wasn't the entire freaking film. They had like one scene together, which is absolutely stupid, and you'd be glad that there's not any more scenes like that in the movie. I mean, there's probably like two, because I guess when they embrace together, when they first see each other at the beginning, that was pretty stupid too, because they're puking line dialogue at each other. But other than that, there's not that many stuff with them. But I just felt like it came out to be a dark Star Wars movie, and the movie made me realize Ian McGregor is awesome, and he's a great Obi-Wan. But yeah, it was just a fun Star Wars movie, and that would one I would start with if I had a Star Wars party. Now the original trilogy, of course, there's really not much you could say about that one. Those are actually pretty great. Star Wars Episode 4, like I said, is most enjoyed when you're drunk, but to me, that's probably my second favorite Star Wars movie. The reason why is because, I don't know, it's just the whole scene at the end, like the last half of it. I know the movie kind of starts off kind of slow, and that's probably one of the biggest problems people have. Like everybody knows that iconic opening beginning with the little spaceship and the big spaceship and how it's filmed and everything. That part's really cool, but they got all this stuff when they're like going around the ship and everything, and Darth Vader comes, and when I was a little kid, I didn't even know that was James Earl Jones as the voice of Darth Vader. For the longest time, I thought it was another actor because it just didn't really sound much like him in the other ones. I guess it would have had like a deep sounding voice on it, but I don't know. Over the years, yeah, I found out okay, it's James Earl Jones, but yeah, the second half of that movie was great. All that stuff in the Death Star, and even that like a big trench battle at the end was sweet. I thought it was all done well for like a first movie of this caliber. You gotta have appreciation towards that, and it's a fun movie overall. I love all that stuff, and especially when they're getting crushed in that garbage disposal place, the trash compactor, and all the lines that they have with C-3PO and everything, and then. But yeah, all that was really cool. There's not really too many dumb moments. I remember as a kid, I always loved the cantina scene with all those different aliens. I thought that was sweet. But when I was a kid, I thought Empire Strikes Back was like the worst of them, like I feel about Attack of the Clones. As a kid, I thought Empire Strikes Back was boring. But over the years, as an adult, I realized this movie is almost flawless, and it became my favorite Star Wars movie, and there's none that really has come close. It just has a better structured story to it. I liked how there's different storylines going on between Luke, Han, and Leia. The dialogue between them, John Williams' score is just phenomenal in it. I think that alone makes the movie even better. But there's also like I love the Hoth battle. I think it's better than any CG thing that's done today. And then the whole climax between Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader. No, all of that is great. It's when I saw it in the theater for the special editions, I walked out there, I'd be like, oh man, that thing was dark. It is a pretty dark movie, and I don't know, I just like that one the best. But then Return of the Jedi. See, the thing was that me and a friend had a big debate a long time ago, because for the longest time I thought Return of the Jedi was like the best Star Wars movie ever. Then we had an argument over it, and he felt Empire was, and I felt Return of the Jedi was, because the Emperor was like the best part about Return of the Jedi. So I told him, I'll tell you what, I'm gonna go watch them. I'm gonna watch Empire, and I'm gonna watch Return of the Jedi. So I watched Empire Strikes Back, and I'm like, oh my god, this movie is phenomenal. And then I watched Return of the Jedi, and then I realized, okay, well, this one has some flaws. I hate to say it because I loved them as a kid, but the Ewoks kind of slows down the movie for it. The whole scene when they're all in that net, and like they're being taken to be eaten, like they're cannibals and stuff, I felt that was a pretty slow scene, and I felt like I saw it dozens of times before, but other than that, the Emperor scenes more than makes up for it. I love the whole Jabba's palace stuff at the beginning of the Return of the Jedi. So, but damn those fucking Ewoks. They didn't really bother me at the end, I guess, when they were fighting the Empire. But I wish they would have went to the original idea of having Wookiees, but they gotta sell toys. So, Thing is, Return of the Jedi, as I never thought, I didn't think that one had like the ending. Like they even changed it over the years with a special edition, so even Lucas felt like the ending could have been better. I don't know. I guess a lot of people are satisfied with it, but like if you really think about it, you got Luke, Han, and all of them celebrating on another planet that wasn't like in the previous movies. It's some planet with a bunch of like teddy bears and looking out at Force ghosts, maybe to the sky, and the Empire was beaten. You know, that type of deal. And so I don't know. It just felt like maybe the film would need an epilogue or something, you know. But no, that's how they end it, and I guess people were satisfied with it. And for over 20 years, probably more than 30, probably, the new trilogy comes out. Um, I have to say though, for Force Awakens had like the best marketing out of any film that I've really seen because like I saw Star Wars everywhere. Everywhere I looked, I saw Star Wars. There's a bunch of memes on it. I mean, it was everywhere. Like Force Awakens, the marketing on it was fantastic because it made people who weren't even Star Wars fans interested to go see it. It became like this huge event, and I remember going to see it, and I remember walking out and saying, "Yeah, it's okay." A lot of people loved it when they walked out. A lot of people, "Oh my God, it's great! It's like a great Star Wars movie," and I'm just like, "Well, I think it's good and all, but my biggest problem, and still to this day, was the villains. The villains on that thing were probably the most goofiest and weakest villains on, and that sucks because in the trailers they made the villains sound like they're like these bit, you know, like they're like the best, like they're better than the Empire, you know, like they're just badasses. But it didn't turn out that way, and I don't know. Like they had potential because, you know, like in the beginning of Force Awakens, they showed what's his face, Kylo Ren, and they didn't really tell you much about any of these characters when they come out. Nothing really released. Like the soundtrack released on the same day the movie came out, so we didn't really know much about the film. Great marketing by Disney all around. I have to give them props on that one. Anyway, so Kylo Ren comes out and he stops a freaking laser bolt in the air and he's just like killing villagers and all that stuff, and I don't know, he started off pretty badass. I've never seen a villain stop a laser bolt in midair. So I'm like, okay, this dude's got some potential. And I was kind of invested in Force Awakens when I first saw it because like this is the first Star Wars movie we've seen in like what, like 19 years or something. I don't remember. 'Cause I don't remember what year. I think it was 2007 when Revenge of the Sith came out, and it's 2015 when Force Awakens came out. So, I don't know. But anyway, so
It's 2003.
but when
Revenge.
no, it came out later in 2003. I think it was 2007 or 2005. Anyway, it was a long gap between Revenge of the Sith and Force Awakens, so it's been a long time since we saw a Star Wars movie, and I was pumped. But then, and I was invested with the characters in the middle of it, and Han Solo was like my favorite character, so it was good to see him back. But some of the scenes that bothered me, even to this day, was the what they call Rathars, those monsters that he was harvesting. I never really got that scene where they're all just running around trying to avoid these monsters. Like, how is this like related to any other part of the film? I don't know. I just felt like it was an unnecessary scene, but whatever. But no, it's always good to see Harrison Ford back in his respective roles. I've seen Blade Runner, and I even like the Indiana Jones film that everyone hates, but I appreciate the fact that they made another Indiana Jones film with Harrison Ford while he still can. So, hey, that's fine by me. Even if it's not a great Indiana Jones film, I'll still enjoy it. Um, but the one part that really bothered me and my dad on Force Awakens is why would they have the main hero of the movie stop the villain in the first one? You gotta build up your villain to be something badass. Ever since he took his helmet off midway through the movie and revealed that he was David Schwimmer from Friends, that's when you realize that this character is a goofball. And why would you have a goofball villain that can't even beat the main hero of the movie? I mean, what is it about this guy? I gotta have something threatening about this guy. I know a lot of people think that he's a great character, and he is. But the problem is that they're building him up to be like this villain, and they probably won't by Rise of Skywalker. He's gonna turn out to be redeemed somehow, probably in that one. Like he's gonna have a redemption scene, and then he's not gonna be like that bad person because they didn't really build him up to be a really good villain at all. When he had his mask on, he was great. He was threatening. But when he has his mask off, you just want to laugh at the guy. Like you want to put some like mascara on him or something, and put some white makeup on him or some crap. Like he's just not threatening at all. So to have her beat him in Force Awakens, my dad was really mad. But I told my dad, you know what? Well, maybe something will happen on the next one. Like there'll be an explanation for it for Last Jedi. No, there is no explanation for it, which now brings the Rey character down for Last Jedi, because I really liked her in Force Awakens, but then when Last Jedi came out, I realized there is nothing to this character, and that's what really sucks, because I really wanted this character to be a great character, like another Luke Skywalker. I think Daisy Ridley does a great job playing this character. She looks the part. Like I really imagine a Star Wars heroine would look like her, you know, and especially with the way they dress her and everything. But the writing of the character just sucks. Then there's Finn. He's like the Black Stormtrooper or whatever, and he's was kind of added to the movie later on. They actually delayed the movie to add his character into it. The best part that they gave him was the fact that he was a stormtrooper, which was nothing really explored in the movies. But like my problem with it is, and it's still to this day, is the fact that I don't know if they would actually taken him since birth. Why would this character even like know to even rebel? I don't know. It just didn't really make much sense to me. Um, but I just kind of go with it because there's just something off about this character. Like it feels like I don't know. It, it's just something missing about it. I just feel like the way his explanation is of leaving these guys, it's not good enough. But whatever. If it was taken away from like his parent, like a parents or something, great. They make it sound like I don't know. Maybe not have an explanation on Rise of Skywalker. But yeah, as far as those characters are concerned, and the ending of Force Awakens with Luke Skywalker, that was about the only thing that made me anticipate The Last Jedi. And I thought that's kind of odd because I should be interested in the story. With the prequels, I was actually interested in the story in the prequels because I knew that it was building up to something. And it's also interesting to see something with the Jedi and how they operate things and where they're at. With this new trilogy, I don't know what I'm anticipating. Like, what is it? What is it that you can build me up to be excited about it? Because in Force Awakens, he had that Star Killer base, which is another Death Star, and that destroys planets or whatever. Well, they end up destroying that thing, and where do you go after that? So we got their only threat that they have destroyed. We got a generic Voldemort named Snoke. So what's up with his character? Because right now he just looks kind of ridiculous. So I just wanted to see where the whole thing was going by The Last Jedi. And unfortunately, The Last Jedi was the worst Star Wars movie. That movie was freaking garbage. And I hate saying that because it's one of those movies where I want to watch and actually like, but every time I watch it, I hate it even more. This hate is always in my mind with that fucking movie. I mean, they butt fuck Luke Skywalker in it. That really sucks. But the biggest sin for me in that movie was the fact that it didn't build up to anything. All it did was pretty much screw up the war. Not only that, they got rid of Snoke and Luke in it, and Snoke was to me was the only like villain that was even threatening to them. So we had to rely on Kylo Ren and Hux to be the ones that like can stop Rey or whatever. So yeah, I never really quite understood why they got rid of Snoke, but now they got Palpatine, I guess, coming back for the third one. They're keeping that a secret. Maybe in the next trailer, which is supposed to be like a new trailer coming out October. We're filming this in September. We'll see if that actually comes into play. I didn't show anything of Palpatine except his laugh in the trailer, but supposedly he's back for it somehow, and there's like a leak out there. Who knows? But all I know is that they're following Last Jedi, and Last Jedi was complete trash. The only things I really liked about that movie was Leia and Luke scene, and that's it. Oh, Luke and the Millennium Falcon. Chewbacca eating the pork. And I did like the throne room battle, but other than that, it's far and few. Everything else in the movie is garbage. It's about a big ship chase a little ship, and then they gotta get a code breaker that goes nowhere. The casino planet was actually boring. And then Rey never gets trained by Luke Skywalker. She knocks him down, and she beats Kylo Ren again. But hey, the movie's got its followers. There's people that actually really like the movie. I just didn't. In fact, most people don't like that movie. It really sucks. But and not only that, the movie is so bad that they're not even selling tickets to Galaxy's Edge. And a lot of people just don't care about Star Wars anymore because of that movie. It's a boring ass movie about nothing and it goes nowhere. You don't make your Star Wars movie boring. You don't make it go nowhere, and you gotta put some kind of sense of fun into it. That's the problem. Last Jedi has no sense of fun whatsoever, like none of it. And when it tries, it's absolutely stupid. Like when Rose and Finn are riding those whatever horses that they're trying to save, which is another dumb scene. Now, the Rose Tico character, I like her theme, and the character doesn't really bother me that much, but the writing of her character does kind of suck. And unfortunately, even though the actress did a pretty good job with the role, the writing of the character just, especially at the end where she saves Finn, I thought that was stupid. I hope there's no stupid scenes on Rise of Skywalker, but all in all, the original trilogy is the best trilogy, of course, but the prequel trilogy is not that bad, and I'm glad that the new trilogy sucks so bad that they actually make the prequel trilogy look good to more people. And people are starting to realize, well, maybe the prequels aren't too bad, except Episode 2. Episode 2 sucks. But, yeah, now they got the new trilogy out, and this new trilogy, to me, it feels like they had a bunch of different writers for it. I heard Rian Johnson just scrapped their ideas for the second one and did his own, and he crumbled it down, basically. I don't know where they're going to go with the third one. I have no high anticipation for it. So it'll probably be good because my expectations is pretty low. So, it might be good. But I'll try to have another video of Rise of Skywalker. But that's pretty much my thoughts on the Star Wars movies. And I'll try to be back for Rise of Skywalker. Alright, let's go to our JT Austin's.
Alright. Good job, Mike.